We are about to get going with our chili, okay? So we have chili beans, we have ground beef right here. That's 2 pounds more or less of ground beef. Next to it is the chili meat right there, chili meat, 2 pounds of ground. It's approximated because it says tubed. That's because it came from my meat processor. That's my cow, and that's a can of chili beans. That's some of my sausage. That's homemade sausage. That is buffalo sausage. Uh, and then you see some onions, some green onions there as well, um, and bell pepper. That's a orange bell pepper. I mean, it's a little sweeter than a green bell pepper, but I just basically put it in there for coloring. That's really all. They didn't have any reds at the store, and I want to put some red in there also, so just to make some color. That's all. Jalapeno peppers and you see there's some um, what do you call it? Garlic cloves. Okay, so the seasonings, of course, the red stuff is chili pepper. We also have some cumin in there and some oregano. Okay, and then salt and pepper here. Okay, so close up. So that will be all of our ingredients. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is uh, get the meat going. Um, I generally will do half the meat and use half of the seasoning because this is a lot of meat. Unless you have like a super huge kettle that you're cooking in, you may have to make the meat in portions. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is half the meat and use half of the seasonings here, and I'll get the meat brown and then do the other half, use the other half of the meat, brown them, and then put them together in the big pot. Okay, before I start adding the ingredients. Okay, while the meat is browning, I'm gonna put the vegetables in a skillet, and then I'm gonna start softening those up. Okay, um, uh, even with the garlic and the jalapenos, all of it, put it all in the pan and start stirring it and I generally use the onions as my um, litmus test of when the vegetables are done, because when those onions begin to get translucent and clear, you know it's about time to get the vegetables off. You don't want the vegetables uh, soft and squishy, but just almost there, because they'll finish cooking. Well, they will cook more once you have everything combined. Okay. Um, Also, there's tomato paste and diced tomatoes that's not on the table right here that I'm going to show you guys a little bit later on. We put that in with the entire mix while everything's together. Okay, so for right now, we're going to go ahead and start getting those meats browning, and then I'll let you know what the next step is going to be. Okay, so hey guys, as you can see, my first round of the chili meat is almost done. But what reason I want you to see right now is, well, let me get my little spatula here. Okay, can you see there's a lot of fat melted in there? I'm gonna leave that fat in there when I get this meat off. I'm gonna put it in that pot right there to wait for the rest of the meat to finish browning. Okay, but I'm gonna leave that fat in there because the next round that I'm gonna put in there is not gonna be the rest of that chili meat. It's gonna be my beef fat, my beef, because it came from my cow. It's very lean, and I'm gonna use some of that fat that's in that pan to help cook that that Charlotte. So hang in there, and I'll show you when I got the ground beef in there. This is chili meat right here. We still have that's only half the chili meat. So we got a lot of meat. It's gonna be like two of those pots full. And I might add some pepper extract to the a second pot to make a 5 alarm. But we'll get to that in a little bit. All right, everybody, this is the first, I guess, pound and a half maybe of the ground beef, and you can see some green and yellow in there. I actually had some of the bell pepper. Now, you don't have to do that, but I minced them up pretty good. See, okay, but I did that because I just like the way it smells when it's cooking, and that's it. That's it. It has nothing to do with the flavor, but I had some extra, so I minced it up really good, and then I put it in there because the smell of this ground beef cooking with that, with those peppers in there, man, it just smells so good. So it still has some red, of course. See that? So it's not quite done, and I'm gonna get it till it's almost there, but not completely brown. Okay, it's gonna be about 90% done because I want the rest of it to cook in the big pot with everything else. Okay, so on the next time I put beef in the skillet, I'm gonna let you guys see the meat that I'm putting in from my cow versus what you would purchase at a grocery store. Okay, it would be the same thing if you went to a butcher and got say sirloin and have them ground up sirloin. It's about what that would be, but they're mine are they're all grass fed, so the texture on them is a little different. And I'm bringing that up because you can see there's a lot of fat in the pan that is building up because I keep leaving whatever fat is left in the skillet when I add my beef in there, because my beef won't have a lot of fat texture in it. Okay, so with that being said, you guys, when you make yours, drain the fat off. That way you don't have, it doesn't look like it's swimming in fat. But I have to do that because mine doesn't have much fat in it at all. Okay, you can also make this same thing with turkey meat if you dare. Just don't do it while you're in Texas. Okay. Okay, that is the last of my ground beef. Take a good look at the fat that's in there. As you can see, that's not regular looking fat, and it's because that fat was of course cut out and then ground back in because the meat itself didn't have a lot of fat. Okay, and that's the reason why I don't take the fat out of the pan when I'm cooking it. Okay. Okay, everybody. As you can see, my pot is full with my ground beef and my chili meat, and this is the grease that was left over. So you can drain this and then put the vegetables in here. That's what we're gonna do next. All right. So now our vegetables are in there. Everything's in there with the exception of the garlic. We're gonna put that in there once we get everything stewing. Okay, and yes, yes, you do still see my fat in there. But look, you guys don't have to do that. If you don't like to have all of that goodness at the bottom, all that goodness right there, if you don't like to have that in your vegetables, then drain it off. Okay. Don't tell me you did that, but I understand if you did. Actually, I don't, but to each his own. That's goodness right there, y'all. Look at that. See that stuff at the bottom? And I'm gonna cook with that. So we're gonna do this until those onions get a little bit translucent. Not all the way, because we don't want them to cook till they're mushy. Okay? We just want them to start getting tender. They'll get a lot softer once they are in that pot, because we're gonna we're gonna get our pots with all of the ingredients in them, and then at the end they're gonna simmer. They're gonna simmer for about 2 or 3 hours, and then at least 2 hours, and that's when they'll get all the way soft. Okay, so let's let them cook for a little bit, and before I take them off, I'll get back with you. All right, everybody, our onions are starting to get there. Everything's starting to get a little tender. So now is the time. See that one? See, it's starting to get a little translucent right there. So it's time to take these off and put it in our pot. We're gonna drain it for sure this time. For sure, do not put all of that fat in your pot of chili. Don't do that. Okay, I will use it to cook in, as you just saw, but do not put it in your chili. Just the vegetables. Here we go. Okay, guys, look. You see that? That is not in my pot. Don't put it in there. Listen, it's good. It's tasty. I understand. But when you put it with the chili, when the chili sits for a little bit, that stuff will rise to the top and makes it look just not tasteful. Okay, it just don't look good. So we're gonna go to the next step with the tomatoes and the tomato paste, and I'll show you what we got. All right, guys, now it's time for the next phase. Tomato paste, green. Listen, I like to use Rotel. You can just use the chopped tomatoes if you want to, but I like putting that Rotel in. It's really good. And then chili beans. That's the kind that I use right there. And then some kidney beans, okay? And with the exception of these two, you want to use those two, but the beans could be optional. You may not have to put the beans in there if you don't want to, but you just pour them all in there. And I'll put in the description some of the amounts that you would use for a smaller pot, okay? Like 2 pounds of ground meat. I'll put a recipe in there for that, okay? But I'm gonna open all those up and put them in that pot, and we're gonna get going. Okay, guys, the last thing I did was put a cup of the beef broth in, okay? Got some beef broth, and again, I'll put the ingredients, all the ingredients in the bottom. Also, you can see that I put the, well, you can obviously see my sausage that I put in there. And those are the garlic. You put them in now. Don't put them in while you're sauteing and everything, okay? Just put them in last and let it kind of brew with the chili. It's on so they're low heat right now, and it's gonna sit here and simmer for at least a couple of hours. I threw some other ingredients in there. I put the rest of my salt, pepper, and your mix. Throw it in there, and when it starts cooking, you may want to add a few extra seasonings in there. Just kind of, you may want more pepper or more salt, more cumin, more chili powder. Add it in, halfway through the cook. Okay. What suits my palate may not suit your palate. Okay, so season this to your taste. You're the one that's going to be eating it. And then we have some right here. I'm going to finish making that. It's going to look like that, except I'm going to make that a 5 alarm, and I'm going to put I'm just going to put pepper extract in there. I got some pretty hot stuff to put in there. That's cheating, I know, but right here, those are my peppers. Those are just jalapenos, but those are my super hots. Okay, and I'm fermenting those for hot sauce, and I'll do a video on those as well once I get them done. But it takes a long time to make that. It has to ferment for about 4 to 6 weeks before you can make hot sauce out of them. So, anyways, now I'm just gonna get it one more stir, and then I'm gonna put the lid on it. Make sure you cook it with the lid on, okay? All right, everybody, it's been about 50 minutes. And and it's coming together. Now you see how some of the liquid is coming to the top right there? Okay, now that's good. It's not supposed to be dry, but if you had left that grease in there, that fat from the from the uh, from the ground meat, man, it would look like it would be nasty on top. It would have that separation look, and see a little bit right there. Can you imagine that if it was like covering this whole thing? That's what would happen if you don't drain it. Now that what you see is fat that's coming out of the sausage, and that's fine. And a little bit in the ground beef, because remember we didn't cook it all the way. It's cooking more right now, while all the flavors are combining. It's still cooking. So what we're gonna do is let this cook for at least another half hour. Then we're gonna taste it and decide if we want to put something else with it. If it needs some extra seasonings, we're gonna put it in at that time. Okay, but for right now, it's doing really well. We're gonna cover it back up and give it another 45 minutes, and we'll check back. Hey everybody, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, well, first off, I'm a truck driver, so I have to run my mouth, right? Well, maybe you don't know a truck driver, so you don't know they just like to talk, blah, 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 that's it, okay? So anyways, listen, seasonings, and I say this every time I do a video, okay? What's tasteful to me, delicious to me, may not be to you. So you need to season your food according to your flavors, okay? So let's just say that there's something in a particular recipe that you don't like. Find an alternative for it. Just because you don't like it and it's not in the rest, or just because it's in the recipe and you don't like it, doesn't mean that you have to put it in there, okay? Some people like their food a little less salty. Some like it a little more peppery, This chili that I'm making right now, this chili it's got jalapenos in it, but once you start cooking it down, the jalapeno flavor, it's not very potent, okay? However, the smaller one, I'm gonna put some pepper extract in there, and that's like 5 million on a Scoville rating or something. It's way, 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 way up there. So you only need just a drop and the whole chili will be 5 alarm, okay? But I didn't put that in this big batch of chili because everyone else is eating it and everybody don't want that, their mouth burning while they're eating it, okay? So the bottom line is, a good idea is to let season your food, start cooking somewhere around halfway, taste it. Another thing you can do too is just all your dry seasonings together or your liquid seasonings together, taste it. Taste those seasonings before you put them on the meat and or on your food. Taste it. If you don't like the seasonings, chances are you won't like it on your food. The light bulb, right? Like, that sounds silly. It is the truth. Why don't we do that every time, right? Okay. Now, once you start cooking, flavors and seasonings, wow. Okay. They become more pronounced. They should. Some become a little more subtle in their flavors because that's what they are. Okay. But for the most part, if you like the taste of your seasonings, you're going to like it on your food. Okay. So season your food to taste. I am going to put a recipe at the bottom for like maybe 2 pounds of ground, okay? And that way if you want 4, I think I got almost 6 in this pot, okay? Then you just double or triple or quadruple the recipe depending on how many pounds of ground beef you got in there, okay? So I hope you guys you're not afraid to do this. It's so simple. I always cook recipes that are really simple, and I simplify things, like put Rotel in there. You don't have to chop up tomatoes, you don't have to go the long way, you can if you want, You know, fresh stuff does make a little bit of difference in the flavor, but let's face it, most of us won't try things if we assume that they're too hard, right? So I'm trying to make things that you guys can do that are really easy. You know, if you don't like sausage in your gumbo, I mean, in your chili, don't put sausage in it. You know, put whatever you want. You know, it's up to you. This is yours. Make it your own. Well, everybody, it has been 3 hours exact. 3 hours. Those beans are super soft. This chili is ready to roll. I'm going to put some in a bowl and let you guys see what it looks like. I'm gonna do a little taste test. See if you guys will enjoy how it turned out. Let's see. All right, so my chili, got me some cheese on there. And my little sour cream. That is ready to eat. I'm gonna get a spoon. Let's taste this. All right. Oh man, look, my cheese is melting in that. Oh God. Oh man, look. Yes, I'm holding the camera so you guys aren't gonna actually see it go in my mouth, but ooh-wee. Man. I'm trying to get my hands right. Look. Man. Oh man, it's good. You guys can do this. I'm about to make me some cornbread. I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to wait till dinner. This is gonna be good. Y'all see my fermentation right there? We're gonna, oh, that's good. That's good stuff. Okay, I hadn't had it in a while and it's so good. So good. But listen, I'm gonna do we'll make some hot sauce videos for you guys too, okay? I do hot sauce, I do barbecue sauce, I do spices. I didn't use any of my spices. And on my other mix, mother chili, I'm gonna do I decided to make a fire alarm with that. And what I'm gonna use is one of my mash seasonings. So I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna do a mash seasoning and then I'm gonna put it in my chili, okay? But anyways, I hope you guys got something out of it. And in the description, I'll put the ingredients. And until I see you again, here's your boop. Boop.